Israel, the system is that the family court is a specialist court. To be appointed a judge of the family court, you have to have knowledge and experience in the field. So people aren't coming from outside fields to deal with family cases, unlike the situation in many other countries where judges have to do a rotation through family court in order to advance. So there has to be specialisation and professionalisation of the legal profession and of the judges as well in order to ensure that these cases are dealt with properly. One of the principles, however, on which the family court's law in Israel is based is one family, one judge, which means that a single judge will deal with all the disputes in a particular family in all kinds of different fields. And it means that the judge will get to know about all the different things people are fighting about and will be able to form an impression of the personality of the parties and of course of their lawyers, and be able to filter out a lot of the background stuff. There's been for the last 3 years a law which requires that people who want to bring cases in the family court do not file a statement of claim. They file an application for dispute resolution, and that is referred to by the judge to the Social Services Support Unit, and the parties are required to attend 2 or 3 sessions in which they're given information about the effect their dispute might have on the children, information about what the court might decide, what the different alternatives are. And if they're not represented, of course, this will come as new to them, but their lawyers may not necessarily have told them about all these things. But also, they are introduced to the idea of alternate dispute resolution, which does not only mean mediation. It can mean collaborative divorce. It can mean all kinds of different interventions which will de-antagonize the situation. One of the responsibilities parents have to children is to listen to their children and to give appropriate weight according to the maturity of the child and the way he expresses things, but not to allow the child to decide, to not allow the tail to wag the dog. Now, this also is the responsibility of the court to listen to the child in an appropriate fashion and to give appropriate weight to what the child says. And that a child whose issues are being dealt with receives a letter from the court through the parents inviting the child to speak to a social worker in the court social services unit. Each family court has a court social services unit attached, staffed by senior social workers with great experience in dealing with family therapy and children and so on. And the child is then asked, if the child wants to, then has a session with the social worker, where the social worker tries to tease out not so much the wishes and desires of the child, but what's going on with the child, how the child feels about the dispute. Indirectly, obviously, it would elicit what the child thinks about dad and what the child thinks about mom. A year or so ago, I was at a wedding, and a gentleman came up to me, Judge Marcus. Yes, do you remember me? I dealt with thousands and tens of thousands of people. Of course, I didn't remember him. He gave me his name, which was a somewhat unusual name, and I started to remember. He said, "I'm still seeing my child." And I was absolutely delighted. This is a case where a couple got married. It transpired after the fact that the mother has a borderline personality disorder. I discovered that in the way she handled the case. She threw out several lawyers because they didn't agree with what she had to say. First we get a social inquiry report, then we go through mediation, then we order visitation under supervision, and continuous breaches and manipulations of the social services and of all the other agencies. It wasn't until I warned her that little Johnny has to see Daddy on Sunday, and if he doesn't, then you show up on Monday with your toothbrush, because I'm sending you to prison for contempt of court for 3 days. And in that time, little Johnny is going to be with Daddy. that's when she stopped messing around.